What's happening YouTube? It's more motivation reactions back for another reaction video. So we got a scap attack video. This guy's killing it, by the way. I don't understand how so many people can watch somebody's video and not subscribe. I looked at the channel and it has like 15k subscribers. There should be a lot more people subscribe to this guy. A lot of you people are haters. Seriously, this guy has amazing videos and I've seen so many channels react to his video and it's just sad to see that people aren't subscribing. If you see this guy's channel, subscribe. Know what I mean? Anyways, we got a Lebron James video here. It's talking about how his fans overrate him. We're gonna see it, and I cannot wait to see it. If you're here for the first time, subscribe to the channel. If you're here once again, thank you for your support. Without further ado, let's read.
Media darling, of which various writers and on-air personalities have largely been pining over and pleasuring themselves to for the better part of 2 decades, is still going strong, nearing the age of 40, and so too are the various contrived narratives being pumped on major media outlets and social media platforms to support his fabricated GOAT case.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
One
You will realize after watching a big majority of this video how out of all the people in the top 10, top 5, wherever you have LeBron, he did the least out of everybody and had more time, had more help, had the least competition in a weaker era than most of the other guys he's ranked above. It's quite amazing when you do research and you find out things. Besides LeBron's longevity and longevity stats, he didn't do more than most of the guys in the top 10 list. Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. A lot of those guys, he didn't do more than them, especially for how much time he had and how much help he had in a weaker conference. And people want to say, oh, he made it to the finals 8 times in the East, or 9 times in the East. Yet you had the weakest competition with super teams and you still didn't win every year. Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going.
One of the most famous, well-known, and regurgitated of all of these narratives is the LeBron carried teams to 8 consecutive finals fairy tale, an argument used to somehow diffuse the fact he has actually only won 4 championships in 20 years and counting, as if going to 8 straight finals is some trump card to going 6 for 6 in the final.
And I hate when LeBron fans use, oh, he went to the finals 9 years in a row, 8 years in a row, whatever it is. But you're forgetting that you had little to no competition. Your first round matchups win 41 games, 40 games, 39 games, under 50 games. You go to the second round, you're facing teams that win under 50 games as well. Worst case scenario, you go into the conference finals facing a team equal to your competition and losing in the finals. And the funny thing is, most of the times the teams from the West win the finals. You want to know why? Because the West is more competitive. That's why it made the finals 9 years in the East. Oh, not to mention you had super teams to do it. And people like to bring up Detroit, how I beat Detroit, the Detroit Pistons, right? But the playoff run, the first, The first round, he faces a 41-win team. The second round, he faces a team that won less than 50 games, all the way up to the conference finals. You can't make this stuff up, folks. And I remember one year they were like 50-32 as the second seed in the East, when in 2010 the Lakers faced the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were the 8th seed in the playoffs, and they won 50 games. Somebody help me make sense out of that. You can see the level of competition, right? So in the West, those calf teams would have probably not made the playoffs. But anyway, I'm just speaking, I'm just giving you people context. As you guys look at stats and you don't actually watch, you don't actually see what's happening. The West and the East were different animals, always. Always.
Finals in an 8-year span. As pathetic and nonsensical as that entire chain of reasoning is, it gets even more laughable when you delve into the specific final runs, as LeBron James resided in one of the worst conferences in NBA history. But just how bad was the Eastern Conference LeBron feasted on for the vast majority of his career? It's garbage! LeBron James entered.
And I'm not diminishing LeBron's greatness. LeBron is great. But his fans make it look worse for him than he does for himself. You guys overrate the crap out of this guy. You guys overrate the 10 finals appearances. You guys overrated. You guys overrated. If you took LeBron and put him in the West, he wouldn't have the same success rate. If you put some of the greatest players in the West and put them in the East, imagine Kobe and Tim Duncan in the East in the weak conference. Tim Duncan and Kobe each went to the finals 7 to 6 times. They each won 5 times. So imagine if those guys weren't even in the picture, how many more teams will win? And imagine if those guys were in the East. Kobe made it to the finals 7 times in the more competitive Western Conference. Put that in perspective. Your guy LeBron won 10 times and won 4 times. And most of the times, he was on super teams in a weaker conference. You cannot tell me he's doing the same thing in the West. Guys like Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul never won because Kobe and Tim Duncan were there. Those guys never started winning until they formed super teams like LeBron James. And you guys are saying this guy's better than everybody else? Stop disrespecting the rest of the guys that actually had the struggle to win, that actually needed to be good to win. If it was that great, he wouldn't have needed to make super teams to win. Anyways, let's keep going.
Entered the NBA at the age of 19 in the 2003-2004 season and was lucky enough to be drafted into a conference on the decline. In all, James played 15 seasons in the Eastern Conference and made 9 of his 10 career finals appearances over those 15 years, and yes, that included famously 8 straight. From his first year in 2003 and running those 15 years to 2018, the Western Conference won the season series against the East 14 times out of 15, with the lone.
You hear that? Out of the last 15 finals, the West won 14 times. What does that say about the West? The West is more competitive. Is it more impressive going to the finals 8 times in a weak conference? Or 7 times in the stronger conference? And winning more times from the stronger conference, but making it every year and losing most of the time, which is more impressive? You guys are making your guy look worse. The fans do it, not him. His fans. You guys overrate him. You overrate him. Why? Because of longevity. This guy will play to his 50, but again, more help than anybody else, weaker conference for most of his career, and more opportunities. Can't make this up, folks.
An exception coming in the 2008-2009 season, a season where predictably.
If I only looked at stats, yeah, LeBron would be up there. Oscar would be up there. Westbrook would be up there. If I look just at stats, but it's not just stats. It's not just stats. MVP awards, okay. There's been many players snubbed before. We know that. We know that. we know players have been snubbed before. It's not enough anymore. Steve Nash has more MVP than a lot of players. I wouldn't rank Steve Nash above a lot of players. So when people make arguments and use like certain things to validate their guy, they don't have something called context. Yeah?
LeBron did not make it to the NBA Finals. Overall, in LeBron's 15 years in the Eastern Conference, the West had.
And the perfect example of this is Westbrook. I wouldn't rank Westbrook over Dwayne Wade all time. Dwayne Wade has no MVPs. Dwayne Wade has no MVPs. Dwayne Wade never averaged a triple double 4 seasons. I wouldn't rank Westbrook over Dwayne Wade. But if I was to do it based on stats, Westbrook beats a lot of people. Westbrook beats Kobe. Westbrook beats a lot of people when you talk about stats, rebounds, points, everything. Yeah? But that's what you people do, these stat nerds. But that's not what it is. That's not all it is. There's a reason why certain players are always mentioned. Tim Duncan, Kobe. If you look at their stats, out of everybody in the all-time top 10, Tim Duncan doesn't have better stats than most of those guys. But why is he up there? It's not just stats. It's not just stats. You guys gotta I don't know why people only look at that. It's not on. That's not it. That's not it.
A total record of 3,695 and 2,845 head-to-head against the JV conference. Good for a winning percentage of just 43% for the East over LeBron's 15-year tenure in that conference. And it is no wonder the West was dominating the vastly inferior Eastern Conference during LeBron's 15-year run there.
And the funny thing is, too, during the All-Star games, it's always the West that kept winning. It just shows how much stronger the West was. It just shows, man. And most of the best players in the league were always in the West. Always. You know? Besides LeBron in the East for most of his career, who else was really like on that level? Paul George, Derrick Rose, injured Derrick Rose, really young Paul George. But the rest of the other good guys were on LeBron's teams: Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. You know, so what is it? And under that, it's like an old Boston Celtics team. What was LeBron's real competition? An old Pistons team, an old Boston Celtics team, an old Brooklyn Nets team. What was LeBron's actual competition? In the first round, the Knicks with J.R. Smith and Carmelo. That was his competition. Guys, you can't make this up.
It was because all of the best players were in the Western Conference during this span of time. Of the 225 All-NBA first, second, and third team members selected from 2003 through 2018, 147 of them played in the Western Conference, meaning only 34% of the All-NBA team players selected during that span came from Little LeBron.
That's crazy, eh? More than 60% of the players in all NBA teams were from the West. What did I just say? I think if you have two eyes and you watch basketball for many years, you will be able to see that. But why does it just go over people's head? Why do people forget it when it comes to their favorite player? We're not saying LeBron's not great, but you guys overrate him. You overrate him. You overrate his competition too. You overrate it. He's not better than a lot of guys. It's not just Michael Jordan is not better than. He's not better than a lot of people. He's better than a lot of people when you look at just stats. Yes. But that's not it. It's not enough. It's not enough. Because realistically, in a professional sport like basketball, if players really wanted to, they'll focus just on stats and pack stats. Look what Westbrook was doing. You think there's not other players capable of averaging close to a triple double in an overinflated era like now? Of course, players can are able to do that. There's more missed shots. There's more 3-point attempts. There's less uh, room for the defense to actually play defense because the game is soft. So players now can pack stats for sure. So you cannot just look at that. Just look at that. There's more to it. There's more to it, and only people that played and have context understand this.
Pitiful little conference. Yet, we are all supposed to be dazzled by LeBron's alleged dominance of this conference, with the first run coming in the 2007 season. A season we hear about over and over and over again when LeBron single-handed.
And the funny thing is, like, those teams were evenly matched, and he beat a team without one of their best players, Rashid. He beat the Pistons without their full roster. And the competition before was, what was it, the Wizards, and then the Nets. Both of those teams under 50 games. And he had a 41-41 team in the first round. Bro, in the West, you have to win 50 games to make the playoffs. And not to mention, his cast team won 50 games. And the funny thing about standings from the West compared to the East, the records are not the same by no means. Why? Because the teams you face in your conference, there's 15 teams each conference, 30 teams in total, right? 82 games in the NBA season. Out of the 82 games, you're playing 45 to 60 of those games against your own conference teams. So each team you're facing in your conference, you're playing 4 times, 3 to 4 times. So if you're in a weaker conference and you're playing teams in your conference 3 to 4 times, and your record is higher than somebody in the West, it's not more impressive. You're playing Western Conference teams 2 times a year. Once in your home court, once in their court. So out of 80 games, you're playing Western Conference teams 25 to 30 times. Or 25 to 32 times. So which is more impressive? The records in the West in a harder conference against tougher teams, or your record in the Eastern Conference against weaker teams? So all the years LeBron had the best record in the NBA and won overrated, let's not try to assume that it's the same thing as a Western Conference record. It's not. It's not. That's giving you context. That's giving you context. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going.
Carried a team to the finals, but James got all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals that season without even beating a team that had a winning record, as the Wizards and Nets, the Cavaliers' first and second round opponents, were both just 41-41 that season.
Okay. So I wasn't lying. I did say that. I called it. I did say that. I'm not just a big muscular guy that doesn't know anything. I know my stuff when it comes to what I talk about. I just said that. Anyway, let's keep going.
Once in the East Finals, the 50-win Cleveland Cavaliers got an evenly matched 53-win Detroit Pistons team that no longer had Ben Wallace, their defensive anchor.
Okay. Ben Wallace, not Rasheed Wallace. Ben Wallace. So even it makes the argument even worse. The Ben Wallace was a defensive anchor. Didn't have him. And you guys want to brag? Come on, guys. Come on. Not diminishing LeBron's greatness because he is great, but don't overrate this guy. Don't overrate what he did. As far as achievement goes, he underachieved. For all the help he had, for the years he had, opportunities, he underachieved. He didn't underachieve as far as longevity. This guy will play to his 50. We know it. And he'll break every record: assists, points, rebounds, games played, minutes, shot taken, free throws taken. He'll break all of it. But again, that's not it. That's not it. Anyway, let's keep going.
Or did they have a single player that averaged over 20 points per game in that season? LeBron then took the next 3 seasons off from making finals appearances, despite having the best record in the league in 2 of those years and winning league MVP. But some other guy took home the trophies that...
And the funny story about these finals runs from Kobe, right? And people always like to discredit him. You know, you even had in 2010 how people say, oh, he shouldn't have been finals MVP. Pau Gasol should have. So his second option, averaging 18 points a game in the finals, when he averaged 28, oh, he should have been finals MVP. Because of a game 7 where everybody on the floor shot terrible. The final score of the game was like below 70. Everybody couldn't shoot. Oh, the Kobe was to blame though. Not to mention that playoff series, he beat 4 15-win teams, 4 in the same playoff run. And the year before that, he beat 3 15-win teams. The second round, conference finals, and finals. This year, the 2010 year, Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round, who won 50 games. Utah in the second round, Phoenix in the third, and Boston. So in 2 years, he beat 9 50-win teams. How many 50-win teams do you think LeBron beat in his 9 finals? How many do you think he beat? Look at the level of competition. Look at the level of wear and tear that would take also. And you guys are acting like LeBron's finals runs were impressive. You're facing teams 41 and 41 to begin your playoff. That's an easy first round win, folks. A team that couldn't win more than half their games in the regular season. Can't make this up, folks.
really mattered those seasons. LeBron, though, being fed up with losing, decided to take his talents to South Beach.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
In so doing, he teamed with other first-team All-NBA team member at the time, Dwayne Wade. And in LeBron's final year, in his first stint with Cleveland, the 2009-2010 season, 10 of the 15 All-NBA players selected that season were in the West.
Wow. Out of 15 players, 10 of them were from the West as far as All-NBA teams. Okay. Guys, if you do research, you find out everything. Nothing stops any of you from clicking off the video and just doing research. Stop overrating this guy, please. I'm not here to hate on him. I'm a person that appreciates greatness, but I don't appreciate somebody kissing somebody's behind. When the truth is out there.
Players like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, and Steve Nash. The top 2 players in the East at that time were first-team All-NBA members Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. James teamed up with
And the funny thing is, about 10 of them being from the West and 5 of them being from the East, 3 of them teamed up. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James. How unfair is that? Like, if you're gonna stack your teams like that, win. But the funny thing is, he didn't win. And you guys are still overrating this guy based on longevity stats. I don't think Kobe is better than LeBron because of stats. I don't. LeBron will beat Kobe in stats most of the time. That's not the argument. Somebody that overcomes difficulty, that beats the odds. That is somebody I want on my team, not somebody that passes a bunch of stats, disappears when the moment is big, too big, and teams up with other superstars to make it easier. Kobe's second best player was Pau Gasol. LeBron's second best player, I don't know. 1 year is Dwayne Wade, another year is Kyrie, another year is Anthony Davis. You can argue LeBron's third, second best player that I teamed up with. A lot of them were better than Pau Gasol, Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, Russell Westbrook 1 year. This guy has so much help. He should have won 10 championships. And for somebody that can do everything, he can score, he can pass, he can rebound, he has everything to back him up with stats. How come he's not winning? How come he's not winning? You see, that proves itself. Stats is not everything. Even with all of that, he still didn't do the most. Guys, explain that to me, please. Explain that to me.
Other best player by far in the much weaker conference. What, realistically, did anyone think was going to happen? Of course the Heat were going to run to 4 straight finals in their 4 seasons together. Is this really supposed to be viewed as an accomplishment to be celebrated? LeBron James himself called his shot that that team would win 8 championships.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
Yet they only won 2. How can this be viewed in any other light but a categorical failure? Over the 4 years finals runs for those Miami Heat teams, LeBron faced 4 total 50-win teams in the Eastern Conference playoff.
Wow. Do you hear that? Let me replay that.
LeBron faced 4 total 50. This be viewed in any other light but a categorical failure. Over the 4 years finals run for those Miami Heat teams, LeBron faced 4 total.
So, in the 4 years he was in Miami, he faced 4 50-win teams. In the 4 years he was in Miami, he faced 4 50-win teams. In Kobe's 2010 finals run, he faced 4 50-win teams that playoff run. And the funny thing is, he had a super team. So, in the 4 years he faced the 4 50-win teams, he beat 2 of them. But in Kobe's 1 year he faced 4 50-win teams, he beat 4 of them. Folks, help me make this make sense. 3, 2, 1.
50-win teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs, and that is counting the 42 and 24 Pacers in 2012. Since it was a strike-shortened season, but the win percentage of 64% would have netted them 50 wins in a full 82-game year. So, the best 2 players in the conference, with a perennial all-star in Chris Bosh and a plethora of other elite role players, faced only 4 50-win teams.
And the crazy thing is, he had so many role players. Like, how do you have Ray Allen on your team? Mike Miller, Ray Allen, Rashard Lewis. So much pieces. J.R. Smith, Kyle Culver. He has all the pieces to get a bunch of assists too. He has all the pieces to stack up his stats. How do you have this much help and you're not winning every year? I don't understand. I used to be a LeBron fan, and this thing made me so angry. I had to change. Man. LeBron fans, you gotta be honest. LeBron pisses you off. You gotta be honest. And you guys overrate this guy. You really do. You really do.
Teams out of 12 opponents to make make it to those four finals, with the second best team in the conference during that time being the Paul George and Lance Stevenson led Indiana Pacers. Alas, when LeBron had to play an actual viable opponent from the Western Conference, he got dusted off the court 2 times out of 4. Thus, it was on to super team number 2. Pairing.
And the funny thing is about the times he lost. He was being carried off the court in a wheelchair or whatever. I don't know what he was suffering, like cramp, whatever. In the San Antonio series, he lost her complaining about the altitude in San Antonio. The year, 1 year lost to the Golden State Warriors, he was wearing a cast after he lost. Just recently losing to the Nuggets, he was saying he was dealing with an injury. So this is your GOAT, folks, making excuses when he loses. And meanwhile, you had Kobe in the playoff run, 2010, beating 4 50-win teams, playing with a broken finger for most of it, not saying a word, draining his knees after the finals. But this guy here, the drama queen, the biggest guy on the court, the strongest guy on the court, the fastest guy on the court, the most help on the court, in a weaker conference, complaining after he loses. Who's he going to recruit next year? After the year he lost, he recruits Ray Allen. After the year he loses to the Spurs, he goes recruits Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. After he loses that, he goes to the Lakers with Anthony Davis. After he misses the playoffs, he recruits Russell Westbrook. When it doesn't work, get him out of here. Get me D'Lo and other guys. After you lose in the Western Conference Finals, I was dealing with an injury. I'm going to retire. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. Ugh. Goodness sakes.
Kyrie Irving.
It's a good thing I have a good memory. It's a good thing because I have a good memory.
And Kevin Love, who were both coming off of 2 All-Star selections each in the previous 3 years, while Kevin Love had 2 All-NBA second teams to his resume in the previous 2 seasons. Over this span of time, with super team number,
Shaquille O'Neal himself, he's had years averaging 26 points and over. LeBron third option averaged 26 points a game in Kevin Love. His other third option averaged 24 points a game, Chris Bosh in Toronto Raptors. Like, how much help do you need? In a weaker conference, how much help do you need? And by the way, the people that keep saying Pau Gasol is that great, Mo Williams, his second option before he went to the Big Three in Miami Heat, he averaged about 17, 18 points a game. Guys, you cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. LeBron's a great player, but you guys overrate him. You really do. And it's concerning. I have a feeling this guy has a spell on the law of you guys. You cannot see things straight. You cannot see things for what they are. But I'm happy that YouTube exists because you can find out things through research.
2, LeBron would face 7 total 50-win teams of his 12 opponents to get to 4 more NBA Finals, bringing his total to 8 consecutive. The stiffest opponent LeBron had over this span of time was the DeMar DeRozan-led Toronto Raptors. So over the 9 years LeBron James made it to the finals from the Eastern Conference, he faced 27 opponents in those Eastern Conference playoffs, of which 12 of those teams.
So, in the 9 years he went to the finals in the East, 12 of the teams he faced won 50 games. 9 years he faced, in 9 years, man. 9, 12. And look at the record against them, 12-27. And you guys are acting as if this guy's God. Come on, folks. Come on. It would be different if it was him alone, but he had super teams. And he still didn't beat. He still didn't live up to it. It's right there. I mean, what else do you need me to say?
Won at least 50 games on the season, 44% of his opponents, with the next best players in the conference over that time being the likes of Paul George and DeMar DeRozan. For context, Kobe Bryant made 7 NBA Finals from the years of 1999 to 2010 from the Western Conference. Of the 21 opponents he faced in his Western Conference playoffs during that span, 17 of those
It's crazy too. In less time, he did more too. And you guys find ways to disrespect him. Like, look, in seven finals runs, facing 21 teams with 50 wins, okay? He beat 17 of them. 17 in 7 years. 17 in 7 years compared to 12 in 9 years. Which is more impressive? I know you know the difference between high and low in math, right? I just pray for LeBron fans. He has you guys under a spell. He really does.
teams won at least 50 games, 81% of his
81% of the time he beats his 15-win teams. 44% of the time LeBron beats his 15-win teams in a weaker conference. Can't make this stuff up, folks. It's right there in your face. And Tim Duncan also did something similar. Yeah. So 2 guys in the West. So 2 guys in the West did more than LeBron in less time. And you guys still think LeBron's better than everybody. Stop it. Please stop it.
opposition, with the next best players in the conference over that time being the likes of Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kevin Durant. I ask you, who had the more impressive feat here? 4 years, detractors of this LeBron mythos pertaining to the 8 straight finals appearances have made the counterpoint that he would never have been able to do it from the West.
I agree. He wouldn't have. I agree. Great players like Melo never got the chance to win. Great players like KD never won until they formed a super team, and most of the players that were like in their primes were out of their prime. Kobe and Tim Duncan. That's why I started winning. We forget that, you know, but I don't think he could have. Why? Because he's in the West, and you're seeing what's happening. He did win one, the bubble, okay, whatever. But he lost, he missed the playoffs twice, or once. I'll just say once to be safe. He missed the playoff once, he got beaten in the first round, and he lost in the conference finals. And all the years he lost, he complained about having an injury. Guys, this is your goal. This is your goal, man. If I'm losing, I'm not making excuses. I'm gonna find a way to come back better than ever. Just saying.
Well, after being blown off the court and swept for the second time in his finals career in the 2017-2018 season, LeBron decided to try his hand in that Western Conference. And now, 5 years out west, LeBron has missed the playoffs altogether in 2 years.
Okay, so he did miss it twice. Okay. This is not making it better it's not making it better at all. It's not. It's not doing that kind of thing. Michael Jordan is a true king of basketball.
Lost in the first round in another season, got swept most recently in the West Finals, and yes, won an exhibition tournament disguised as an NBA title in the bizarre COVID.
It's funny, man. The funny circumstances when LeBron wins in the lockout season and the bubble season. Guys, come on. Can't make this stuff up.
Shortened season that culminated in a surreal tournament in the Disney bubble.
And the funny thing is too, in this series here, Anthony Davis was the best player on the team. He led the team in points, rebounds, and blocks. And LeBron still got the Finals MVP for some reason. Anyway, man, you can't make this stuff up.
Where Anthony Davis led the entire NBA playoffs in both scoring and win share for the champion Lakers. Many liars in the mass media and teenagers who don't understand the actual history of the NBA like to paint LeBron James as having played some kind of super competition throughout his career. But when you break down the conference in which he came from and the totality of his championship runs, LeBron's actual playoff accomplishments are amongst the worst of any.
I said it in the beginning of the video. I said it. And it's the worst out of all the players in the top 10, right? Whoever you have in there. Not to mention, he had the most help. He had the most chances to win. He was in the finals 10 times. He had the most help, and he had the least competition. So, with all those circumstances, he still underachieves. Can't make this stuff up, folks.
Any all-time great, and he did it in markedly more time in most cases than any other player he is being compared to. But, as is most frequently the case, the myth, lore, and legend built up around LeBron James always exceeds the actual reality.
Okay, look, folks. That's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If I sounded like a hater, well, I just don't like people overrating. I just don't like people not seeing things for what they are. That's what it is. That's why you're seeing a different kind of energy. Okay? LeBron's a great player, but don't let the spell he has on you cloud your judgment. I encourage you to do research. Learn about the game, learn about the history, instead of just picking players and thinking that they're better than people that did it before without having context. It's not just stats, it's everything else. Okay? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it out there because this is a very long video. Thank you so much for watching this video and getting to this point. Make sure to subscribe to this guy. He's doing a great job. I just hate to see a channel doing so well and so many people reacting to the videos and not subscribe to the channel. Go subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to this channel as well. Like always, get better every day, optimize yourself. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.